Good morning, students. So today I am going to start a new chapter, chapter 5. So that is morphology of flowering plants. Okay. So all of you know that plants can be either flowering or non-flowering, and flowering plant they bear flowers. Okay. And plants also you know that there are different parts are there, like the root and the stem and the leaves, flowers and the fruits. Okay. So what is morphology? So morphology is the study of external features of plants. When you are studying all the outside features, then that is called morphology. And morphology is having its importance in the field of taxonomy. Because taxonomy also know that we classify plants, and the plants they are also classified on the basis of morphological feature. So there should be a basic knowledge about different type of the roots, different type of the stem, or different type of the leaves, or what is phyllotaxy, what is venation, how many types of the flowers are there, what are the different parts of the flower. So without all this basic knowledge, it is not possible to classify the plants or study taxonomy. Okay. So we will discuss first about root. So all of you know that the root, so that is the part of the plant which is growing towards gravity. Because in the class 10 also we have studied, these are all the basic knowledge. So the root, so that is developing from radical of the embryo. Because the embryo is having two parts. One is a radical, another is plumule. And the root is developing from radical. And it is always going towards the gravity, and also it is found inside the soil. This is the non-green part of the plant. Okay. Now the roots, what is the function of the root? The primary function of the root is mainly absorbing water and minerals from the soil. So that is the main function of the roots, and also it is helping the plant to fix in the soil. So for the fixation purpose also root is important, and also it is taking water and the mineral from all the other parts of the plants. Okay. So now we classify the root into three types: tap root system, fibrous root, and the third one that is adventitious roots. So what is tap root? Tap root means the root which is developing from radical, and the root directly which is developing from the radical, you can find out the diameter is thicker, and that is called primary roots. So you can find out the primary roots, so that is developing from the radical. Then the branches which are developing from primary roots, these branches are called secondary roots. Then again 5 branches which are developing from secondary roots, these branches are called tertiary roots. Okay. So in the tap root system we can find out there is a main root which is called primary root, and the branches which are developing correspondingly they are called the secondary and the tertiary roots. So mainly in the dipole plant we can find out there is tap root system. Then what is fibrous roots? In monocot plant, primary roots, so that is for a short period of the time. So you can find out after a short period of the time the primary root, so that is replaced. And from the base of stem, if this is stem, then from the base of stem you can find out many roots they are developing. These are all fine branches, and these roots they are called fibrous roots. For example, wheat. Okay. So what is adventitious roots? Roots developing from parts of plant other than radical. So I told you radical is a part of the embryo, and the root which is developing from radical, so that is called tap root. And the adventitious root, so it is not developing from radical, but it is developing from other parts of the plants. Like for example, suppose you take bamboo. In bamboo plant we have seen that root is developing from nodes, so that means it is not developing from the radical. So that kind of the root is called adventitious roots. Okay. Now what are the different reasons of roots? So all of you know that the tip of the root, so that is surrounded by a covering which is called root cap. And what is the function of the root cap? The root cap, so that is protecting the tip of root. Because when the root is penetrating into the soil, then you can find out the root has to exert force into the soil. And because of the force, the tip of the root will be damaged, then there will be problems will be there. Why? Because at the tip of the root, meristematic tissue is present. Okay? So mainly the root, so that is mainly divided into three areas. Now the region of meristematic activity, and the region of elongation, and the region of maturation. So there are three areas are there. So just at the tip you can find out there is a meristematic zone is there. So what is meristematic zone and what is the function of the meristematic zone? The meristematic zone it consists of meristematic tissue. And the meristematic tissue already know that. So that is a kind of the tissue which is having the ability to divide continuously. And it is mainly helping in the growth of the plants. So in plants you can find out the meristematic tissue. So that is only present at the tip of the root and the tip of the stems. And also the cell which are consisting of this tissue. So that is having thin cell wall and plenty of protoplasm and a prominent nucleus. So at the tip you can find out this meristematic tissue. So that is continuously dividing and adding new cell in the root. Then the area which is after the meristematic zone, so that is called region of elongation. So in this area you can find out the cells, they are elongating, they are becoming longer. So you can find out elasticity is there in the cell, so they are pulled. And when they are pulled, then automatically you can find out there is increase in length. So this zone, so that is helping to increase in the length of the roots. Then the area which is after this area of the region of elongation, so that is called maturation zone. And in maturation zone you can find out because initially all the cells which are cut up by meristematic tissue, they are similar kind of cell. But in the plant you know that there are different types of the cells are there. Like for example parenchyma is there, polynchyma is there, sclerenchyma is there. So how these all different type of the tissue of the cell they are developing. So these all different type of the cell they are developing from meristematic tissue. Okay. So in this area you can find out gradually the cell they are differentiating into different type of the cell. And also you can find out there are 5 thin threaded structures developing from this area, and these are called root hairs. So the root hairs, so actually they are developing from epidermis. You know that if you study the anatomy of the root, then the outermost layer of the root is called epidermis. So the epidermal cell, if this is a epidermal cell, then you can find out the epidermal cell will extend to make a growth which is called root hair. So root hairs are always one single cell. They are not multicellular, they are unicellular because actually the epidermal cell is extended to make the root hair. And because they are many in number, so they are increasing the area of the root for absorbing water and minerals from soil. So that is the function of root hair. So why roots are modified, or what do you understand by modification of roots? So I already told you that the primary function of the root is absorbing water and the minerals. If besides doing the primary function, now you can find out if they are doing some another kind of the functions. Either there is storage of food materials, or they are providing the mechanical support to the plants, or they are helping the plant to respire, or they are helping the plants to climb on the support. So if they are doing all these functions, then we call it as modified root or modification of roots. Okay. Now the first part is why the modification is taking place. So that is for storage of food materials. And here also you can find out there is therapeutic modification is also there and the adventitious modification is also there. So I am not going in detail because it will be difficult to complete the syllabus. So in brief I will explain you some different kind of the modification for storage of food. Now these are all the therapeutic modifications. Number one, so that is conical root. Conical root you can find out the shape of the root, so that is just like a cone. So you can find out one side, so that is broad, and the another side is narrow, and the shape is just like cone. For example, carrot. So here you can find out why the root is not thin, why the root, so that is swollen. So that is because of storage of food material. And by the storage now you can find out the shape, so that is changed, and it is not looking like normal roots. Because the carrot, you have seen the color of the carrot is also orange and the color of the root is white because there is no chlorophyll pigment. So why the modification? So the modification that is for storing food material. Then the second type, so that is fusiform. Fusiform is spindle shape. Spindle shape means you can find out the top and the bottom, they are narrow, and the middle portion, so that is broad. And the example is radish. Then the next kind of the modification, so that is napiform. So in the napiform, you can find out now the middle portion or the upper portion, so that is broad, and suddenly you can find out the lower portion, so that is becoming very narrow or tapering. Like for example, all of you have seen beet. Beet, why it is swollen? Because there is stored food material. And the tuberous root, you can find out there is no definite shape. As in the conical, there is a particular shape is there, or in the napiform, there is particular shape is there, always maintained. But here you can find out it is irregular in shape. You cannot find out there is no particular shape, and it is some kind of the shape it is taking place. And why it is swollen? Because food material, so that is stored. For example, miraculous. The second type of modification, so that is to respire or respiratory roots. And the respiratory roots, they are called nematodes. They grow mainly in plants which are growing in marshy and saline area. Marshy means जहाँ कादा कीचड़ रहता है उस एरिया को हम मार्शी एरिया बोल रहे हैं, and salty area, यहाँ पर soil is salt है. Okay, so in those areas you can find out the plants which are developing. Not all the plants, but mainly the plants which are growing near the seashore, they are having respiratory roots. And the respiratory roots, they are called nematodes. And the type of the plant in which we can find the nematode, these plants are called mangrove plants. For example, if you go to Sundarban in West Bengal, then there you can find out the mangrove plants they are seen. So what are the characters? They grow in saline water near seashore, and they possess horizontal spreading roots. So you can find out inside the soil. Now there are the roots which are growing horizontal on the soil. And also you can find out from these horizontal roots, there are developing the aerial roots. These are all the aerial roots which are growing in air. And these aerial roots, these are called nematode. And also you can find out that the base of the aerial roots, so there are also absorbing roots. Okay, so why these type of plants they are developing aerial roots? Because they are growing in salty area, and the roots they are not able to absorb oxygen from the soil. Because the root is also living, and for the survival of the root also there is requirement of oxygen. If the root is not able to take oxygen from the soil, then the plants cannot grow. So these kind of plants they are developing roots in air, and also you can find out there are small openings are there, and these small openings these are called lenticel. So with the help of the opening they can take in oxygen from the atmosphere, and they can give out carbon dioxide. So here also you see there is modification of the root for another special kind of a function, so that is to respire. So now the next kind of modification, so that is for providing mechanical support. And the type of roots are prop root, state root, climbing root, and parasitic root. So prop root, the good example is banyan. All of you have seen banyan, so that is a new tree, and the banyan you can find out there are so many branches are also there. So because it is a new tree, so more amount of support is needed. Because the root is giving the support, it is helping the plants for fixing to the soil. But because the plant, the size of the plant is new, then besides the support of the primary root, so there is also requirement of another support. And the support is given by prop root. So here you can find out from the branches the roots are developing, and they are entering into the soil, so that they can mix with the soil, and they are giving supporting to the new branches of banyan tree. So here it is giving mechanical support. Now the second type is that the base you can find out from the basal nodes. Because on the stem there are nodes and the internodes are present. And the nodes you can find out there are demarcating lines. These are all the lines which are seen on the stem. So the nodes which are situated near the base of the stem, roots are developing. And ultimately these roots they are also entering into the soil to provide support. Because in the base of this plant these are also tall plants, these are also monocot plants. And the monocot plant you can find out the stem is thin. So to provide support to the thin stem, besides the normal roots also, the roots which are developing from the basal nodes, they are also entering into the soil and providing general support. Then the next kind of the modification, so that is the climbing role. For example, betel, pine. In betel you can find out here the roots are also developing from the nodes, and these are thin roots and they are developing in the air so that they can coil around the support. Because in the climber they cannot stand erect. And in the normal plants, normal type of plants, you can find out the stem is erect and strong, so that the stem can support all the branches, flowers and the fruits. But in the climbing plant, because the stem, so that is a weak stem and it cannot stand erect, so the roots which are developing from the nodes, they are coiled around the support, so that they can provide mechanical strength to stem, and the stem it can grow surrounding the support. Then the parasitic roots, these are all found in the parasitic plants, because normally the plants these are green and these are all the orthotroph plants. You can find out there are few parasitic plants are there. For example, Coscuta. Coscuta is a non-green plant. It is yellow in color, and because it is a parasite, it is depending on the host plant for getting the food. So you can find out the parasitic roots. Now these are all thin thread-like roots, and they are growing around the host plant and penetrating inside the host tissue, so that there is direct connection with the xylem and the phloem. From xylem, the parasitic plant they can get water, and from the phloem they can get the food, so the parasite it can survive. So these are all the different kinds of the modification which is seen in roots.